Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to NAUI's Dive Team Report. I'm your host, Greg Martin. Guys, I hope you've had a chance to get wet this last week. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we've had all sorts of weather issues, and it's been actually quite a while since I've had a chance to get in the water, and I hope to get to doing that real soon. And of course, now that we're here into the month of March, a lot of folks are starting to think about those Earth Day activities. And I know our local dive club is working on some things to do some river cleanup here in the Pacific Northwest. Thought it might be a good chance to chat about some of the Earth Day activities and that kind of thing. We have Angie Cowan with us from the NAUI office. She's the NAUI Communications Coordinator. Angie, how are things?
Things are great, Greg. We're really looking forward to spring here. We don't get as much weather change here in Florida, but definitely the water is starting to warm up, which is nice for some of us who like the warmer water. Yeah,
for those of us, warmer water for most of us is usually about 50 degrees. So just wanted to pass that on, to some of those folks.
I hear you.
I know. So NAUI Green Diver has been kind of spearheading a lot of different activities. And I know there's one that's coming up. You said like a month from today that... and this is kind of an unusual thing that you're talking about too. Tell me a little bit about this event.
Sure, Greg. Yeah, it's the first time we're doing this, and it's in partnership, and it's a very local grassroots type of project that was actually conceived by our former manager, Sam Richardson. He started collaborating with Erica Moulton, who runs the Center for Open Exploration. They're based out of St. Pete. And where Green Diver does a lot of outreach, education, ocean conservation type projects and supporting local efforts through a Dive for Change grant program and other things like that, or even just giving publicity. The Center for Open Exploration is interested in doing some surveying, and they use ROVs and study kind of the benthic composition and all different types of research. So when you combine education and research and then the outreach of that and educating the public, it's a nice combination. And it's centered around one particular event that we have here in January every year, and that is the Gasparilla Festival. It's a very big cultural, historical event. Basically almost kind of like a Mardi Gras here in Tampa Bay.
Right.
And along with Mardi Gras comes a lot of throwing of beads and things like that. And while there's a lot of local groups that do a ton to go ahead and clean up right after the event, there's not a lot of research or cleanup that occurs, a month, 2, 3 months down the line. And so if you look at your calendar, like you said, we've got Earth Day coming up here in April 22nd, and then that whole week, a lot of local groups are doing events. So we decided to turn it into a Tampa Bay survey and cleanup project, and we're calling it Gasp Our Beads of Tampa Bay. And as scuba divers, who's going to get in the water and grab those beads? Well, scuba divers are.
That's kind of the hard way of grabbing beads, if anybody knows about grabbing beads. Yeah.
Yeah, but the water's pretty shallow here on average, even about 10, 15 feet, depending on the tide, but we're going to catch it at high tide. So we might even be able to get some free divers in there helping out. And we've got a couple sample sites selected that we've already done some preliminary surveying on. And we did find beads. And so we're not only interested in kind of the distribution, also the quantity, how many, where. We'll start off with these 2 sites. And then what Erica wants to do in her research, too, is to take that back to the lab. We're also working with a place called St. Pete Makers. And they'll do a little bit more analysis of the composition of those beads, the degradation, the rates, and that type of thing, because just to remove those beads is one thing, but maybe what else could be left behind. And,
sure.
And then tying that into, this might sound, obviously Mardi Gras and New Orleans, there's a lot of groups doing research on this too. And it's not that we want to take away this wonderful event that is so much fun and brings so much to the city, but maybe we could find some alternatives in terms of what those beads are made of. Some groups are making beads that float, so they would be a lot easier to just scoop up the day of rather than sinking down, to the bottom.
Sure.
And some different things like that. So, that's the gist of the project. So it's kind of new, and there's a lot of excitement here in Tampa Bay about the project. And it even bigger, another partner in this is Hillsborough County Soil and Water District. And they love the idea because they're looking more at the watershed science piece of it and how our water quality is all tied in with what's going on the land. And so they've come up with something called the Hillsborough 100. Hillsborough County is here where Tampa, the greater Tampa area is, the Conservation Challenge. So they created this challenge for the city and different organizations like us here at NAUI Green Diver to find 100 projects that we can do that week of Earth Day. So April 22nd on for that entire week. So we're one of those, one of 100 participating.
That's really interesting. And you talk about the fact of the whole Mardi Gras-y kind of feel with the plastic beads and all the little plastic trinkets and trumpets and, all noisemakers and those kind of things. You don't necessarily, a lot of people take those home as souvenirs, but there's also such a mass quantity of that. I would also like to think that folks perhaps in New Orleans would be maybe checking into this as well and looking at, what this might mean for them in their process as well, because they're a water-based community as well.
Right. So far, we've done a pretty good job in a short amount of time of collaborating and bringing groups together here in just Hillsborough County. But of course, if we can go beyond this mini grant and continue to do this project and grow it in future years, that's the idea. Let's do some more regional outreach and collaboration, as well as, as far across the Gulf over to New Orleans would be fantastic, because you find in outreach and education, there's not always a lot of resources to go around. And so, don't reinvent the wheel. Just like you said, see what else is already going on out there, and really we can help to work together and inform each other. So this is just the start of something that Green Diver and C4OE, we really hope to make larger and continue in the future. And please don't let me forget to acknowledge our mini grant came from the Tampa Bay Estuary Program here. Started off with a $5,000 grant that they gave us, and that's more than enough to get us going here for this first round and kind of a trial run and see how it goes. And I've not been surprised actually by our NAUI network here in the Tampa Bay area. We've even got some people coming over from the Miami area. They're going to bring a boat and 4 or 5 divers and help us out. We've got all the universities here in the Tampa area, USF and the University of Tampa, and we've got some student groups, those college students that want to come out and help us out, and a lot of them, like I said, NAUI divers supporting NAUI, which is what we're all about. We aren't necessarily the biggest, neither is Green Diver. There's a lot of groups out there that do similar things to what we do, but we really do like to focus on giving back to our members and supporting them and their affiliates and things like that.
Angie, I'd like to take this opportunity, too, to challenge a lot of other communities like mine here, where we live right on the Columbia River, the big mighty Columbia here in the Pacific Northwest. I'd love to challenge a lot of other NAUI divers to get your local dive clubs, dive communities, water communities, boating communities to come together to work on these issues. Here in our area, the Columbia River is a great fishing mecca. A lot of people up here trying to catch salmon and sturgeon and that kind of thing. The water is loaded with all sorts of cast off from either fishing line, could be cast off from boat lines that are, anchors that have been lost or fouled or anything like that. We are planning to do a river cleanup at some point and get all those people together to help do that. So I would like to throw that gauntlet down to other communities, other diving areas, to be able to do the same kind of thing. It doesn't have to be, obviously, Mardi Gras, and it doesn't have to be Earth Day kind of things. It can be any time. And get in contact with NAUI and talk to Angie and the Green Diver folks about the things that you're thinking about, and maybe we can help you out.
We would love to give some publicity to that too and share that with our social media network. And, if you go to the NAUI Green Diver, NAUIGreenDiver.org website, we actually have a whole toolkit together to help you plan events like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a cleanup, but just galvanizing, getting a group of people together to do something like that. And I just got photos last week from our group in NAUI Middle East. They're very active in the Green Diver Initiative, and they're always doing different types of projects like that. And my background, in my graduate work is water quality and looking at the connection. And I actually started in California, but I ended up studying it back in my home state of Indiana. no ocean nearby, but we're definitely a part of the largest watershed in the United States, the Mississippi River. And where does all that agricultural runoff and everything go? Well, it ends down in the Gulf, which is where I live now, here on the west coast of Florida. And so the whole idea is that it's all connected. And they always say something like the ocean begins at your front door, or there's always someone downstream, right? So I can't emphasize enough. I'm really passionate about that idea. And I think it's really important for us, especially as divers, that we do see the connection that we do have and how the water connects us all. And like you said, it's not hard to get a group of people together to really make a difference. And if you talk about coastal cleanup too, the International Coastal Cleanup, check that out online too. Internationally, people are doing this, and there's a certain day out of the year, and you can actually submit data, and they provide all that data online. And so you can even turn it into a real educational type thing if you got teachers that you know of or want to kind of take it that next step.
Absolutely. All right. This event comes up Sunday, April 23rd. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to start at 9:30 in the morning and go as long as it takes. I think probably end up around 2:30 p.m. we should be done. If you're interested, you can get in touch with us at NAUI Green Diver at NAUI.org. That's NAUI Green Diver at NAUI.org. Or you can just email me as well. My name's Angie Cowan, and we'll get your information and how you're interested in helping out, and we'll get you on the list.
Absolutely. And again, if you have any ideas, my little challenge is out there, folks. If you have any ideas about how to do cleanups in your area, give me a shout here. My email is podcast@naui.org. I'm really excited to see how things kind of turn out next week and over the ensuing months as we look at the way of looking at, the whole idea of floating beads. Who'd have thought, the plastic floats, right? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
All right. Well, good luck with the project. And again, we'll look to hear from you to see how kind of things went. And if you have any questions about Green Diver, obviously get a hold of the folks at NAUI and go from there. Angie, thanks for joining us and talking about this today.
Thanks so much for your time, Greg, and putting a light on this. And we definitely will follow up with you and let you know how it goes.
All right. Appreciate that. If you want to get yourself involved in the water world, be sure and check out NAUI.org or your local NAUI dive shop. And by all means, if you enjoy this podcast, be sure and hop on there and click that you like it. Put something in the comments. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of NAUI's Dive Team Report. I'm Greg Martin. Thanks for listening. I'll see you underwater.